Working? Yeah? Okay, let's get to work, Rabbi say. Siman Shin Ches, Siv Chav Zayin, Chav Tes, Lamed. These are big sifim trying to convey a different animal food, etc. on Shabbos. The changing status of a food on Shabbos, when it changes from one form into another, it's a big site in Muks in general. It'll be nafkaminas not just in if you have animals or not, it'll be nafkaminas. It'll be nafkaminas. It sounds like it's no good. No? Huh? I can make it's me or it's them. There, right? It could be nafkaminas. Thank you. It could be nafkaminas in our garbages. It could be nafkaminas in medicine and all different things that come together. So before I begin, I'm going to say a bit of a limitz chus on the whole sugya, which I saw today in the Shulte Giborim. Unbelievable chiddush, which is against everything you're going to learn in Seif Chav Zayin, Chav Ches, and v'chulei, is that I would ask everybody from now on to try to come on time. The noise that goes on in the beginning of the year makes it difficult to start. And then I start, and it makes it difficult, and it's very annoying. It's annoying for me. I see from the faces of those that are here on time. It's very annoying for them also. If somebody is late, he's late. If somebody's not late and he's waiting outside, then don't come in. It's not right to everybody around you. It's a bit of a chutzpah. The Shulchan Aruch and Siv Chav Zayin, I know that wasn't cool, but I've been waiting to say that for about 3 months. So there comes a point where it's not on me to not being cool. It's on the people that are doing what they're doing, right? I think I'm right about that, no? Okay. In Siv Chav Zayin, that's also not cool. In Chav Zayin, Chav Ches, Chav Tes, and Lamed is all based on when you have animal foods and you have things that change and bones and whatnot and all types of zachen. So there's a Shulte Giborim that brings a Rashi and Daf Mem Gimel, which throws mamish an unbelievable monkey wrench in the whole sugya, unbelievable chiddush in the whole sugya. He says the way Rashi learns the sugya, it's a bit sugyadik, but the way Rashi learns the sugya over there is talking about bones and it's talking about shells and whatnot. To make a long story short, which is a very long story, it's sugyas, it's rishonim. The way Rashi learns the sugya is talking about that it's bones that are not roy lachila. Everything that I'm going to be talking about the next day, and it's Hashem today, tomorrow maybe, is about bones that are roy for behemoths, bones that dogs would eat, etc. and whatnot. And Rashi learns not like that. Rashi, it's all part of the sugya you have to see over there. But Rashi says that we're talking about bones which are not roy lachilas kelev. That means that it's some type of a shell and a bone that no dog plans on eating, no animal plans on eating. And all the halachas that we're going to say that it's mutter is not talking about when it's roy for a behemoth, even if it's not roy for a behemoth. How that works and what's the pshat in that is all part of a big sugya. The Shulte Giborim says the miniga oilam that people indiscriminately, whether they have animals or don't have animals, take bones, take shells, take all types of zachen and throw them in the garbage and don't use tiltum minatzad and whatever. And not because of Graf Shavei, it's because the Seimach and Shitas Rashi. I must tell you, this Rashi is against everything. It's against all the Rishonim, it's against all the Paiskim, it's against Shulchan Aruch, it's against all the Paiskim that lived from the time of the Shulchan Aruch and onward. And the Bach says it's not pshat in Rashi. The Bach said that Rashi is going in Beis Shammai. It's a bit complicated. It's a bit sugyadik. Rashi learns that Bach learns that Rashi is going in Beis Shammai and that he's not even going in Beis Hillel, and therefore there is no Rashi. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention that if you ever see somebody taking a shell and a bone and throwing it in the garbage, and you don't know what he's doing, so it could be his heter's graf shalrei, or it could be that he's anical of Rashi, right? And he learned according to the Bach the wrong pshat in Rashi. So then it's hard to be moicha on such a person. That's all loyla halacha. That's just a limitz chus that the Shulte Giborim brings down. And but the Shulchan Aruch, at least the way we have it and the way the Pais can have it, talks about atzamis which are roy for klavim, bones that are roy for dogs, klipim that are roy for Michael Behema. And the example, pirurim shein bem kizayis, these things are pirurim that don't have within them a kizayis. So they're allowed. They're allowed. Aval im eina klipin roy la Michael Behema asal taltalin. If the klipim are not roy for a Michael Behema, if the shells are not something that animal could eat, so then you have to come up with all types of tricks, just to let it fall off and whatnot. Menayer, you pick it up and it falls off on its own, or we'll have the trick of the Mishabura and Kufta Zayin. The Mishabura says, put something mutter on the plate, You take a piece of bread and put it on the plate, or you take a fork and put it on the plate, and now you're picking up the bones together with the fork, like we said yesterday. That's the trick of the Mishnah Berurah, and that's how you're allowed to clean off the table on Shabbos, even if the bones would be muksa, which we'll see today. Many will find him that they talk it might be muksa. It might be muksa. Yesterday I was bothered by the breadcrumbs. And it says over here in Shulchan Aruch something that, that's what it says here. It says that if you have pirurim which are less than a kazayis, so then Shulchan Aruch says that they're mutter, the seemingly pashut pshat in the Shulchan Aruch. And this is really the mashmayis of the makor. The seemingly pashut pshat in the Shulchan Aruch is that breadcrumbs that are less than a kazayis. I said yesterday you don't need a kazayis for the matzahs. But if you have less than a kazayis, the breadcrumbs are not muksa. Why? Because they're roy for behema. That's a seemingly pashut pshat in the Shulchan Aruch. Seemingly mashma, if you don't have animals or whatever we're going to talk about, we'll have to see today. That's what we're going to learn today. When is it considered that it's not animal food? But let's say you're a person, you live in a place where there's no animals, it's not the derech to give to animals, whatever the case is. Shulchan Aruch and Sif Chav Tes right away says that Kol Shu Roi L'Meichel Chaya, it made a roi, it has to be that they're mitzuyim. We'll see. It's clear there are some gedarim of where it has to be that there are animals that are motzi. Kol shuroi v'oif hamitzuyim. It has to be animals. So let's say you live in a place where there's no animals, and we'll see what constitutes animals. But then you want to know, how am I allowed to take breadcrumbs off the table and wipe it off? And I think if I'm not mistaken, I said yesterday that it's clearly the widespread minig olam. Anybody who learns muksa knows about this halacha, and Taka maybe thinks about it when he learns it, and then afterward he probably forgets it also. And certainly somebody who never learned muksa, he certainly doesn't know this halacha. I think I'm right. But we saw yesterday some people have a special brush. Some people have a special brush to brush off the crumbs. Maybe some people they take dafka with a napkin and do it. Okay, but there definitely are a lot of people out there that take the crumbs straight with their hands. And Taka, like you said, I looked in Reb Nissen. Reb Nissen Taka, he says maybe cake crumbs are different Taka, maybe because cake crumbs are very normal, And Reb Nissen wants to say maybe it's during the meal that we're going to say it's not muksa, because during the meal anything can happen. But once the meal's over, it's pretty bad. Once you're ready, wash my machrayim, and that's you're coming Taka to clean off the table. A lot of people they clean off the table at that point. So now you're not even allowed to eat the breadcrumbs. You're going to have to go and make a moitzi again. Nobody does such things. And so at that point, there should be muksa. I'm going to say Elim Mitzchos because it bothers me so much. It's not the Pashut Pshat. The only thing I can tell you is like you heard from me about a month ago. The Aruch HaShulchan said that sometimes you have a halach in Shulchan Aruch, you can't deviate from what it says in Shulchan Aruch. But if you have something that you could say Elim Mitzchos and it doesn't go against the words in Shulchan Aruch, and there's a great reason to believe that Taka wouldn't be muksa, and you're not going against Shulchan Aruch, so then maybe I'm not saying that everybody's capable of doing this. I don't think I'm capable of doing this, but at least to give a limit chos, a little bit of a limit chos. It's very shver, no, Rabbi Cooper, it's fair thing, no. I should give a limit chos, or I shouldn't. What? I should, unless what? It's a hard thing to say graph. I'm saying breadcrumbs on a table. Most people are cleaning it off, whether it's a graph or it's not a graph. Why should we say graph? Sorry? That's the whole sugya, it's a shem. That's what we're going to learn now. That's the whole sugya afterward. Yeah, sorry? There's always birds. It's true. So we're going to learn in a minute that most poskim hold it has to be what's called mizainois of alav. Mitzvah Shem, we'll see in a moment. Most poskim learn it's not enough that there are birds in the city. It has to be that it's your responsibility to be feeding the birds. And then that's bara that it's not your responsibility to feed the birds. So it's a mindset. It's going to be very shver. Birds is not going to be a great limit chos. If limit chos is birds, then I'd rather remain with the yeser. So anybody else want to try? Should I just give up or no? You could say graph. You could say. Yeah, it could be. I'm saying we didn't learn graph yet, but it's definitely a chiddush. If that's let's put it like this. I have a mefurisha Shulchan Aruch that is not graph sharei. Our Shulchan Aruch. Our Shulchan Aruch doesn't say it's. But it could be. We'll learn graph sharei. It could be that'll be a potential mitzvah also. Nafkamina is sometimes you have like a few crumbs over there and you just take a graph sharei. Shells are like ekeldik. Nobody looks at a table and sees crumbs. And says, ugh, right? A shell you taka see. Shells are like ugh. It's like a little bit ekeldik. Sorry. Oh, that's for sure. The only thing Reb Nissen was willing to be makel on. The only thing that Reb Nissen was willing to be makel on. Let me explain. The pashut words in Shulchan Aruch are that crumbs under kazayis, once you stop eating them, they're already out. They're already out. Now, Reb Nissen was willing to go so far as to say that, that's during the meal, it's always okay. Okay. I said yesterday, what about at the time when he's about to sweep it off the table? But there comes a point where it's muksa. That's mefurish in Shulchan Aruch. And that point where it's muksa, you see that the minhag ha'olam is that they're actually doing it. So that's l'chayra. Sorry? Let me say an answer. I don't see why we're just going around. We spoke about this yesterday. I'm not hearing from anybody. You want to try? You can try. I'm saying. The Shulchan Aruch says that crumbs are muksa. That's what it says in Shulchan Aruch. I'm not coming to be mechar. I'm coming to tell you maybe what's a limit chos. The Shulchan Aruch says the crumbs are muksa. The most that we can hear is that maybe during the meal they're not muksa. That's what it says in Shulchan Aruch. You can't argue on Shulchan Aruch. The only thing is that maybe during the meal you could hear they're not muksa because people might always eat them. But certainly at the point when it's mayim achreinim and he's not allowed to eat anymore, they're muksa. That's what it says in Shulchan Aruch. Elamai, maybe it's gaf shel rei. Maybe we'll see if you have animals. I'm saying, but in a normal case where it's not taka graf shel rei, and in a normal case where you don't have the animals, whatever we spoke about, so then what's the pshat? There are definitely people that sweep off the table when they don't have the heter of graf shel rei. There's definitely people that sweep it off when they don't have the heter of animals. So it's oimer darsheni. It's a limit schos. I myself, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to always try to have a something, a napkin, something epis to do it with something. Then let me try and answer. Yeah. Wait. So if it's a question, let me answer first. Then maybe the question will go away. Sorry? That's my way of saying, let me answer first. If I answer, then maybe there won't be any question. You have a question on a disposable keli, right? It's mefurish in Shulchan Aruch that crumbs are muksa. Whatever your question is, again, Shulchan Aruch says that crumbs are muksa. So if we have a kasha on a disposable kli, so then maybe we have a kasha there.
I have a kasha disposable. I understand why is it in the disposable kli only makes it once you throw it in the garbage. When you showed, you're done with it.
I got a hold that a disposable kli even in the garbage is in muksa. Did I just answer your question? Some said. So it's not muksa. So now there is no question because it's a kli and never lost the same kli. So then there's no question from disposable kli. And those that held that a disposable kli is a problem, I didn't understand them. I think it's against the Pashup Shad Mishnah. So the kasha is a kasha. Kasha is a kasha. I'll give one last try because I see everybody wants to try it, so I don't mind. Anybody else? No? Sherry, you want to try? Anybody else? No? You want to try? No? What? It's a strange thing. I mean, there's no difference between now and the time of Chazal. Shulchan Aruch says that it's muksa. Eimal Zah, right? Shulchan Aruch says muksa. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the answer. The answer is so good that you have to know what to do. If it's stuck, it might be emes. But it has to fit into Shulchan Aruch, right? But I was thinking, wait a minute, maybe it doesn't say in Shulchan Aruch that crumbs are, doesn't say anywhere in Shulchan Aruch that crumbs are muksa under kazayas. Doesn't say it. Does it? It says it? It doesn't say it. I tricked you all. It doesn't say Hagan, every sefer mamish. I didn't find one sefer every single sefer says crumbs under kazayas are muksa unless you have animals. That's what it says in every sefer. Every sefer says this, right? You know who doesn't say this? The one sefer that doesn't say it is Shulchan Aruch. And I'm asking that it could be, if you go to the Mekoiris of Shulchan Aruch, there's definitely a mashmoyas like that. And that's the simple reading of the Shulchan Aruch, that the implication of Shulchan Aruch is bones that are not right for eating, and crumbs, it puts it in the same sentence, bones that are not right for eating, and crumbs under kazayas, which the obvious implication is because they're right for behemoth. The Shulchan Aruch is talking in the positive. The Shulchan Aruch is saying bones that are not right for you, but they're right for animals, they are not muksa. The Shulchan Aruch is talking in the positive and saying kula. That you should know that don't think your bones automatically become muksa because if you have animals in the shtat, so then they don't become muksa. That's what the Shulchan Aruch is coming to say, a kula, that they're not muksa. That's what the Shulchan Aruch is coming to say. So on that, the Shulchan Aruch says another chiddush. Also, breadcrumbs under kazayas, they're not muksa. Now, the simple reading of Shulchan Aruch is because breadcrumbs under kazayas are not muksa. Why? Because you're going to feed them to the animals. That's the simple pshat in Shulchan Aruch, right? But the Shulchan Aruch breaks it up. It's very weird. Why does Shulchan Aruch break it up? The Shulchan Aruch says, at summits that are royal klavim and klipas that are royal Michael behema, uperurim shem bem kazayis. I wouldn't have written it like that. I would have wrote like this. I would have wrote, at summits shivroy in the klavim, uklipin shru the Michael behema, uperurim shem bem kazayis, shivroy in the behema, just like it said it by klipas and bones. Is the diak a little bit of a diak? It's a little bit, what? the Mishabura in Kufiyat Aleph says Mishabura, Hainu Mipnei Katnusan, Oyim Din Rakla Michael Behem of ISIS. This definitely doesn't stem with the Mishabura. This doesn't stem with the Mishabura. The Mishabura clearly is learning the Pashup Shot, which I told you that's probably the Makor in the Beis Yosef where it's coming from. That it's giving you another example. But the Shulchan Aruch clearly broke it up. And you know what? Maybe I could even stem it with the Shulchan Aruch, with the Mishabura, what I'm saying. If I could do that, then I should probably get the Nobel Peace Prize. They give out the Nobel Peace Prize for people that said like a murder shot in Shulchan Aruch or no? Probably. No, if it's going to be a limit chus. No, I'm saying if they gave it to Vihais, the Shiksa, was it Gandhi, right? They gave it to Gandhi. What did she do, Sachakal? No? So then if I say a pshat, that's Yashir, the Minig Olam and Taka, so then maybe I should get the Nobel Peace Prize. What do you think? What? Sorry? Okay, so there's a moment for that. So watch this. Watch this. Stoma breadcrumbs are oimid for animals. Really? 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 By a show of hands, are anybody in this room's breadcrumbs oimid for animals? By a show of hands. Not one person in this room. Right? And for those that are listening on TV, there's over 1,000 people here. Right? You know? Because you're not just yourself, you're representing all of your families and everything. Does anybody here give the crumbs? At best, we give like a big stick of bread that we're throwing out to add to the birds, right? Anybody takes the crumbs? Come out, there's nobody here that does that. Come out. You learn the sugya of Simon Kofayin. So sometimes you learn Kofayin and you learn the Kepeda, breadcrumbs, and then you take, for a few weeks, you put them in a plate and you bring it outside. But B'derek Klal, the things we give to the birds are what? A big piece of bread. We give them half a loaf of challah. Right? The crumbs we usually just take and put inside like a baggie and throw in the garbage or something like that. That means we eat them, but some of them we eat. The ones that are on the table is the ones that. Yeah. So what's the pshat? So I'm going to tell you a most pashut thing, mamish, most pashut thing in the world. Most pashut thing in the world. In a place where there are animals, listen closely. Okay, you don't even have to listen closely. Don't listen closely. In a place, because so pashut, you don't have to listen closely. No, mamish, you don't have to listen closely. In a place where there are animals, then the stomach of crumbs was oimid for animals. In the place that you have the chicken going around your neighbor, with the schnitzels over there you told us about yesterday, right? In a place where there are animals, so then a person eats the bread and crumbs he bedafka gives to the animals. Bedafka. Mashen came in a place where there are no animals, so what are the crumbs oimid for? Human consumption. It's pumfaker. I think it's the opposite. I think what used to go on with people that had animals and chickens and all types of things that would dray around, you know what they would do? They would eat the bread, right? They had to have food for animals. This event can what are these, the ones that look like Cocoa Puffs, what are they called? The dog food. Yes, the chow prow and all those, they look yummy, you know what I'm talking about. They look geschmack, it does, right? So those things, you think in these sites in Nishkevain, they didn't have the fish food, right? Peintige fish, they ask, and what did they, you know what they used to do? They used to bedafka take their breadcrumbs and give it to the birds. They used to bedafka take their breadcrumbs and give it to their chicken loch. They used to bedafka take their breadcrumbs and give it to their little cows and whatever, all the elephants and goats and whatever they had. Bedafka. But us, that we don't have that, they used to have the breadcrumb, and it was oimid for that purpose. Now read the Mishnah Berurah. Stomach of a breadcrumb is oimid for animal food. When you read this Mishnah Berurah, you don't even know what the world he's talking about, because you're not from Radin, and you don't have chickens, so you don't know what I'm talking about. But the Mishnah Berurah at the Yegahat, that's my version, actually, when the Chafetz Chaim's son talks about his father, they had animals there. They had a cow over there. He talks about how his father, when he would go traveling, the one thing he would say, to remind his wife, did you blunt the horn? He always had to blunt the horn of the ox, that it shouldn't shtois or whatever. This is the letter that the Chafetz Chaim was sending to his wife. And he had chickens over there. You see, the Chafetz Chaim talks about it when he talks about feeding the animals before he eats and whatever. They had these things. Normal. They had chickens, they had birds, they had all these things. The one thing they didn't have got is fish, which we do have. But we have animal food. So us, the crumbs, they don't lose the shame crumb. This is a little bit al derech what you were asking, Rabbi Singer. So by us, just like a plate, I don't think the plastic plate loses its shame because it continues, because it's not oimid for anything else. By us, that breadcrumbs are not oimid for anything else. Where did the shame Michael go? Until it gets into the garbage. And it's totally inedible. By us, it remains people food all the way until it gets into the garbage. In a place where there's animals, so then that's a very normal thing. So therefore it changes. By a bone was also, when they would eat their meals, So they had a bone. We're going to talk about this, about our bones and klipas and whatever. But when they saw a bone, they saw, yummy, this is great for the food, for the animal, right? When they saw shells, this is great for the animal. When they got to the point of where crumbs went down, they ate the crumbs, whatever ones they ate. And then the left of the crumbs, they would take them, they would give them to the animal. Niflat ma'id. So therefore, there's no Shulchan Aruch that says not like this. Read Shulchan Aruch again. Shulchan Aruch says, at summits that are roy leklavim, klipin sheroy lemichael beimo, uperurin shem beim kizai, says the Mishabur, which are oimid for animals, avada, in a zat site, in a zat place. But by us, it's pum fakir pum. By us, nobody here ever gives the crumbs to the animals. So by us, they're not muksa all the way until they get into the garbage. What took off the shame animal food? What took off the shame, people food? Where did the shame people food go? By me, it's pashit. I have moira to say this because nobody says this. I have moira. There's a pella to me. It's mamish so pashit. And then they'll feed this. That's the pshat in the minig oilam. That's the pshat in the minig oilam. What do you say? What? No, bones is great because bones is for sure not animal food. It's for sure not people food. Nobody eats bones. Sure it is. It's animal food. No. Again, the mitzias of a chicken, when you have chicken with bone, that is animal, as people food. Now there's noilud. It turns into something which is not people food. A bone is definitely not. Here, nothing changed. Everything, nothing changed when it comes. That's right. It's a smaller piece. Nobel Peace Prize? Yes or no? How do you do? You have to fill out a form or something? What? Okay, good. Sorry? Where? In the time of the Shabura? No, in the time of the Shabura. It's Gevaldik now. Mamish Gevaldik. In the time, Gevaldik. So Rabbi Rosenberg is asking, so what do I need animals for? So now it's Gevaldik. Now you can hear, in that time when that was norm in society. So then, in the time when it's norm in society, there was a whole world that looked at crumbs as being. The truth is, I have two start them with this. I have one side to say that in those places, two start them. I'm not 100% sure. One side is maybe in those places where there were no animals at all. Maybe it wasn't muksa, right? It doesn't say it is. It doesn't say it is. What? Sorry? It's hold off. It's too many diyukim. But that's one. Or you could say not like that, because that would be very mechudash. You could say that in that time when crumbs was something which was normal in society to give to animals, that was a normal thing. So if in your place it's not matzi, but the shame in the velt of crumbs is animal food. Meaning you could hear a understanding that when you see a bone is animal food. Because everywhere in the world they didn't sell animal food, so bones are animal food. And you can hear in the veld when they would see crumbs as an animal food. So therefore there could have been a tzad, but in your place there aren't animals. So in your place, but there's no animals. So then taka, maybe it would be muksa, because it's something that does change its mahos, because it was a normal thing that was done. The fact that in your place it wasn't normal, that's one way of learning. The other way of learning, I'm not sure. It could be you just say, in a place that taka didn't have this musik, didn't have the animals at all. Where does it say it's muksa? Where does it say it? At some shur in the club and klipin shur the Michael Behema, pirim chain bem kazais, which are stama oimid l'Michael Behema. Yeah, I don't know. But that's a chiddush. That second side of chiddush. You know what I'm saying? No. What don't you say?
You don't eat animals for foul.
Sorry.
According to what we're saying, it doesn't have to be right for animals. It's human food.
No, I'm not saying what you're asking.
Of a person.
Right.
It has to be right for animals. Who cares if stomach is
100%. Today, 100%. No question in the world. That's what I'm saying. Breadcrumbs today are not oimid for animals. Therefore, they're human food, and the human food chain never left. Mashenkin, in a time when there were animals and in the veld, it was much more of an animal. What? If that's what it's normally oimid for, if in the veld, when people saw crumbs, they saw animal food. Right? They said to themselves, it's a shud, eat food. What are you wasting the crumbs for? You have to feed the animals. That's how they saw it. Right? That's how it's, the emphasis is no matter what, that's pshat. I'm saying it has nothing to do with me. No matter what, that's the pshat. Well, what's the difference? No matter what, you have that kasha. Let's say I wouldn't have said the pshat I said. So no matter what, where did the shame of the people food go? It's something that he could eat. Something he could eat. So no matter what, you have to say that. No matter what, there comes a point where it switches over from people food to animal food. That's a chayr. It's a chiddush. I'm not saying it's not. There's a reason why no sefer says this. Yeah. You're allowed to move the crumbs. You're allowed to move the crumbs because it's animal food. What? Kamash Malan, don't think it's dirt. Kamash Malan, don't think it's dirt. What? No, and so maybe no. What do you mean? Yeah. I stay today, and Mitzvah Shem, I'll answer you after. It's a limit chutz. If the Olam gets it, good. If not, not. What? What is that? You want to see? Where am I reading? Nonetheless, the Shevis Yitzchak suggests that only in previous time, when animals were commonplace, would one designate small pieces of bread for animal feed. Nowadays, however, one does not ordinarily have the option of feeding these crumbs to animals. Rather than discarding them, it would be common to eat them oneself. Consequently, crumbs smaller than kazayis would still be considered regular food. Yeah. Accordingly, even in a place where animals are not commonly found, these crumbs would not be considered muksa. That's today. Have a crumbs left at the end of the meal. Okay, then he goes on to say maybe if they're mamish after a meal, it's like dirt. Okay, there you go. So now it's official. It's in an English book. There you go. That's it. Okay, is that it? There you go. Okay, look here. I mean, I don't know any other way out of this, but all right. Yeah. Should was mash like this? That's the next thing. Let's continue. Very good. Thank you. That's what I was getting to now. So then I saw like this. Mishabura brings down in Kufya Dalid. Now let me try to prove this a bit. Thank you, Rabbi DeFordiga. Mishabura says, he says like this. He says, what if you have a bone that has a little bit of chicken on it still, right? He says, who are not summits that are kosher, whatever, they're roy for animals. He says, kol zeh, if there's nothing left on the bone. But if there's a little bit, mixas basar ala tzamis is mutal atal ag of the basar. If there's a little bit of chicken left on the bone, so then it's not muksa. What's the case? I mean, he's throwing the bone out, right? So you see, he's not going to eat it. So it should be like the same dirt of the crumbs. So let's hold off on comments. So the Sefer Orcha Shabbos in the 19th parak, in the 194th ha'ara, he says maybe it's talking about that it's the derech to eat the bone with the chicken. But if it's not, then he asks a very valid question. What's the difference between this and crumbs? What's the difference between this and crumbs, right? What's the case? The case is this bone is what? It's at the end of the meal. What's the case? I mean, if he's in the middle of the meal and he's eating still the bone with the chicken shkoyach, right? So what's the case? The case is he's finished the meal. There's a bone. It has a little piece of chicken on it. And the Mishabura says that's not muksa. Why is it not muksa? He's on the way to the garbage. That's where he's going. He's on the way to the garbage. It's kaloi midlizraik. No, he's about to throw it in the garbage. So what's the difference between that and crumbs? Crumbs is also about to throw out, and we said crumbs would be muksa, lule my shtickle, right? Right? So that he asks a valid question in the Orcha Shabbos, and he says that maybe if it's because it's a derech lechol, which it's very fair to say that, right? It's very fair to say that it's talking about only when the bone is the derech to eat the chicken. I mean, it's not the case, right? So because anytime you want to take a bone and throw it in the garbage, you're not allowed to. It has chicken on it, right? Because the Mishbruah sounds like anytime you have a bone with chicken, it's not muksa. According to him, it'll be dependent. If tak, again, assuming there's no animals, that we'll get to in a moment, right? If you don't have the other heterim. But in a case where there's no animals or the animals don't eat bones. So the Mishabura, the Pashut words in the Mishabura are is that a bone with chicken is not muksa because it's edible. That's what it says in the Mishabura. And he says, what do you mean? You're on the way to the garbage, you're about to throw it out. What's the difference between that and breadcrumbs? It's a valid kasha. Right? So he says, say nechanami. You have to say it's talking about the taka, it's the derech to eat it, which is tamua. That means that because it's a mamish, it'll come out. Feed this. Anybody here who we'll see soon if we have the heter of animals or don't have the heter of animals. I myself, in Ramat Shlomo, it's borrowed to me. I kimat, we'll see. I think I don't have the heter of animals. You guys here might have the heter. I myself might not have the heter. Kimat, none. I did a little survey today, right? And the kimat, no, we'll see. There's kimat no animals by us, but you guys might have the heter. We'll talk. But lemaisa, let's say for me. So that means this Shabbos when I'm going to take the plate to the garbage. So I'm going to take the plate. I'm not going to go and put on a fork because I'll see there. I've made the mistake. I'll have read the Mishnah Berurah. I'll see there's a bone with chicken, and the Mishnah Berurah told me if there's a bone with chicken, it's already still called food. And the Orcha Shabbos says no, it's not, because it's on the way to the garbage and no one's going to eat it. No one's eating it at that point, right? All you need is the Mishnah Berurah's mouth. All you need is a little tiny piece. We're missing Karelitz, Zechariah Levracha, in the 131st page. He says you don't even need a little bit of chicken. You just need some marrow in the bone because you just need something to suck on. And then it has a shame of food. So, but according to the Orcha Shabbos, it's not true. You finish the meal. The meal's over. Nobody's eating that little piece of chicken, right? Sorry, and so are the crumbs. So the crumbs.
We discussed this
What? Let me give me a moment. It's getting me confused because I see from the face of the island that every time somebody asks a question, it's confusing them. So it confuses me because I get the kayach from the island. That's how it goes, right? But does everyone understand the bayah? The Rosh Hashanah is asking a very good question, but it can't be what he's saying is true. He says if you have a bone that has a little piece of chicken and you want to take that bone, so and you want to throw it out, no way, it's muksa because it's not nobody's eating it. Ain't derech lachlai. It's definitely ain't derech lachlai. Right? It's for sure ain't derech lachlai. And he says it's taka muksa. Can't be. It's impossible. First of all, the Pashup Pshat in the Mishnah is not like that. It's impossible. It's impossible. So somebody asked this Shayla to Chaim Kanievsky, and I'll leave it in the 58th volume, in the 142nd page. He has like mamish a whole arichas, the Shayl asking the question and whatever, and it can't be, and this, that, the whole thing. And then at the end, Chaim Kanievsky writes 2 words. He writes bottle to the food. So he doesn't want to hear another word. He doesn't answer the question, but he says bar. He says, bar, there's nothing to discuss. That if you have a bone with a little piece of chicken on it, it is not muksa, no question. It's definitely not noilid. So what does it mean? It's not noilid, and therefore sublite das animal food, right? That's like Rabbi Spire is saying. It's not noilid because still there's a piece of chicken there. So therefore, it's all when you have a bone that's holding. I'll say the words of Reb Chaim. It's if you have a bone holding a piece of chicken, so then she is bottled to the chicken. That's what the Chaim says. She's bottled to the ikar. I know what? You never got your shame of turning into a Michael Baim. You never got a noilet. You never turned into anything. You're still chicken. I don't see here a bone. When you have a bone on chicken, I don't see bones. It's stuck in beiner. There's no bone. All I see is the schnitzel. All I see is the flesh. So then, besides, it's not muksa. Givaldik. It never turned into people food. It never turned ice people food. So what's the kasha? The Rosh Hashanah is kasha. So how do you answer the kasha? But breadcrumbs. So why is that people food? So why breadcrumbs? Why breadcrumbs? Why breadcrumbs? Why breadcrumbs are you not allowed to throw out? The answer is in 2020, Tafshin Peyal, if you're allowed to throw out breadcrumbs. Meaning, Dainu, if you're in a place where it's not the derech, it's not stam and oimid for that, it also doesn't get the shame of people, of animal food. It doesn't go from the shame of people food to the shame of animal food. When did it go from the shame of people food to the shame of animal food? And that's why no one asked the question. Because back then, it was a normal thing to feed the animals breadcrumbs. So therefore, at the point that when you had breadcrumbs, that was normal to feed it to the animals. So that shlav, it turned into, when you had crumbs, it turned into animal food. But your bone never turned into animal food, and it blights people food, and that is the yishuv. That's what you're saying, Rabbi Defrodiger? That's what you're referring to. Very, very good. Very good. So beside halacha l'maisa. Halacha l'maisa, if you have a chicken with a bone, don't care how big the bone is, it never turned into animal food. It's not called animal food. It's still called people food. Are you not going to eat it? So what? So what? You have a cup of Coke, half a cup of Coke. It's after the meal. You're spilling it out. It's not food anymore? No, nobody dreamed of such a thing in the world. Why? Because it's people food, and it's blind as people food, and it never changed its shape from people food. And there's no other name for such a thing. That's number one. You have a piece of meat with chickens, no shayla. You have a bone that we'll see. Then you have to see the animals, the non-animals. You have breadcrumbs. So during the meal, it seems to be that's unanimous that, I don't know, you might wind up eating it or whatever. Even at the point of where you're sweeping it off the table, if by you never even dreamed of giving it to people, to animals, so then it never lost the shame. It's not stamen oimd and lekach, and therefore it's not moksa. Am I going to myself actually do this? Because nobody says this, right? So I don't know. Now he says the Shvus Yitzchak in English says it. I don't know. To do it, but I'm definitely not going to say something to somebody that does it. I'm definitely not saying anything. And if you do this, you don't have to come on to graph, and you don't have to come on to all the things that we spoke about. You don't have to come on to this term. According to this, it's niflat the might. Anyone who never dreamed of giving a breadcrumb to an animal, and never saw it, never heard of it, never anything. Now, if you're like old McDonald, and you live on a farm, and that's normal for you, say maybe. But then you have the heter of, and you have the heter anyways. And you have the heter that it turns into animal food or whatever. Okay, so that's how it goes. Sorry? I prefer to answer after. It's getting billable over here. But I'll answer one last one because I love you. But yeah. No, so that's what Rabbi Rosenberg was asking. And that's what I explained. That in our door, in our world, that nobody today does this. I'm talking about in the year Tafshin Pei Aleph. In the year Tafshin Pei Aleph, nobody does this. The widespread of the world, when people view crumbs, it's not in those days when a person would listen closely. I see if everyone has a question, I'll explain it. In those days, when people saw crumbs, let's go step back a second, right? When a person saw a bone in those days, right? So some people saw garbage, and the same person also saw animal food, but I don't have animals, or there's no animals in my time, in my neighborhood. Let me explain anyways, right? Breadcrumbs was the same thing. Every person in the world, the entire planet, when he saw breadcrumbs, he saw in front of his face something which is usable and edible for animals, right? And boom, I don't have animals, and the neighborhood, there's no animals, etc. But it was a normal thing. He understood that this is something which would be normal to give to animals. So therefore it gets a shame animal food because it's more roy for animals than it is for people. And on that now we would be toilet. Do you have animals or do you not have animals? That's the nidin. In our world, there's no one in the world, even a person that has a farm, right? There's no one in the world that when he says breadcrumbs, he says, animal food. We don't even see it. He might do it, but nobody sees that. So the Rabbi say in our world, it never loses the shame. A breadcrumb is for, it takes a person when he reads Shulchan Aruch a few minutes to chap what's going on here. Pirurim Shem Ben Gazayas, especially the way the Shulchan Aruch is written. I wonder if that's the reason why Shulchan Aruch wrote it the way he wrote it. That's the theme of this thing. Is the Shulchan Aruch says atzamis which are roy for dogs, and shells that are roy for animals. I know that's till today. Even if you do have animals or don't have animals, but that's a metzias because no person is eating them. So now you have to know what function does a bone have? What function does a klipa have? The answer is the only function it has is for animal food, whether you like it or not. And now we'll see now, do you have animals or don't? That's Mahusai changed. Bashe'en came, Piruin She'en Bem Kizayis. He doesn't say Sharoyi Lebehema and whatever. I need the Mishnah Berurah to explain to me that you understand that stam under oimid for that. There's stam and oimid for that. In other words, there's a certain like chilik over here in the Shulchan Aruch. Piruin that don't have a Kizayis are something that the dafka, the Shulchan Aruch was bedafka over here, not telling suit to animals. He's trying to tell you that a piru and sheish bem kazayis was something that has a miyuchadik knak. It could change. It's something that it could, again, without the Aruch HaShulchan, I don't know if I would say this. Without the Aruch HaShulchan that I said a month ago, that, if you're not going against Shulchan Aruch, I don't know if I would say this. But what we're saying is not against Shulchan Aruch. And then it's miyashiv dominica oilam. The words in Shulchan Aruch it stems piruim she'ein bem kazayis. It's takanat muksa. It's the first in Shulchan Aruch. And today you're not going against the Mishnah Berurah either because the takanat stam oilam dimikas. Therefore, I think it's emes. And if you say English, Yitzchak already said it before me. So then already it's not my Nobel Peace Prize like you guys are saying. It's his. But said, is there a concept of like being makavan to a Nobel Peace Prize? What? Oh, so nafkamin on yontif. Thank you, Rabbi Markovitz. Nafkamina on Yontif. Now this is the Chiddush. Nafkamina on Yontif. Nafkamina is that breadcrumbs on Yontif in Radin might have been muksa, right? Because they changed from people food into animal food. And that's time a big Chiddush, which I want to look into in Hilchos Yontif. I find that to be very surprising. And today they won't be muksa. That's the big Nafkamina. That's a Nafkamina. What? Shatzi in where? Let's look at it inside. Yeah, but he's going on ours? No, that's the problem here. He's not going on the breadcrumb one. He's going on the bone one. That's the problem here. I'm not sure what to do about this question. I was thinking, this is one of the big kashas I have on the whole entire thing. Are you telling me that breadcrumbs on muks, without my shtickle Torah, breadcrumbs are everywhere in the world, even if there are animals, are muks is something that just doesn't sound right. It just doesn't sound right. I don't know. Something's weird. I'm not sure. Okay, that's number one. Okay, is that crystal clear? Now I'll answer questions. Now I finish what I have to say. You have a question still or no? No? You don't have to. What? Rabbi Singer, you have a question? No? You have a question? No? What?
When does it change?
Meaning in the time of Radin?
No, in general, when a person's eating it, the bowl changes all of a sudden.
Yeah, now that once you got rid of the last chicken, so Nissen will tell you.
Someone's eating chicken and he finishes all.
Yeah, okay. So in your hand, it could be right to put it down. But Nissen will tell you if there's no marrow. A lot of those bones don't have marrow, right? And Nissen will tell you once it comes to that bone, you ate everything you could. There's nothing left. Now she's animal food. And now it depends. You have animals, not yontif, not whatever. Yeah. What? Nobody knows the answer to that question. It's either the Mishnah Berurah says mixes, but I have a raya not like Reb Nissen. Right? Why is the Shulchan Aruch? Okay, I can't really ask a question, but it says over here. I mean, that's exactly what Reb Nissen's coming to say. But the Shulchan Aruch says mixes basar out samas. Why did he say mixes basar? Why didn't he say basar im mayach? They had basar and mayach back then. How do I know they had basar and mayach? What? Shinitas. Okay, there's also half of Hilchos Malicha. I'm saying in your day, it's all there. It's in Tzarech, all filled with this stuff, right? So why does he have to say gelatin? All the whole sugyas of marrow. There's an Achiezer about this. They had marrow back then. It's clear. So then I was like, why did the Mishabura say if there's a little bit of basar on it? So I don't know. Is that not like Reb Nissen? I don't know. L'chayr Reb Nissen's right? L'chayr is right. I mean, if you still could suck it, L'chayr is right. L'chayr. I don't know. So I could put it, but that's the nice. What? No, I said you could take a napkin and not cover your hand because that's just like that's a glove, but just to take the napkin and go take the napkin and go like that. Right? That's what I would do. In the stomach, that's what I would do. But I'm definitely not stopping somebody from wiping it off with his hands. That for sure. Now, that's number one. Is that clear, everybody? We spent a long time on this. I hope it's clear. Is it clear? Clear? Yeah. Who's not clear? Anyone not clear? Is that animal? What? I think the Chiddush of Shulchan, the Pashut Chiddush of Shulchan Aruch, Stamzai. No, I'm saying Stamzai, the Pashut Chiddush of Shulchan Aruch is Noilad. Is that Noilad, that Noilad on Shabbos is Mutter? That's the Pashut Shad in the whole sif over here. That even though something doesn't have a usage for you, and it started out with one usage, but then when it changes its usage, don't think it becomes Muksa, whereas in Yontif it does. Did I just answer you or still not? I answered. That's L'chayr. No matter what, that's L'chayr, what's going on over here. Right? But you should know, Levi's kasha bothers me. Rabbi Markowitz's kasha bothers me a lot. I tell me that in Yontif, in Radin, breadcrumbs were muksa, like it's very weird. I don't know. I guess it's the same kasha, right? And I have to see such a thing in Shulchan Aruch. We have to look over there in Tav Tzadi. I didn't get a chance to look. What? The what?
I think it's really about Kallus for them. So it's even though you wouldn't eat it.
Right.
It's supposed to be it's still not even from the garden.
That's when it's people food. Over here, we're saying it changes. That's the whole sugya. The Shulchan Aruch says breadcrumbs are muksa, and the Shulchan Aruch says the only reason not is because they're roy for behema. That means if you don't have that heter, because in Yontif there is no such heter, because you're not allowed to change. I wonder out loud. Should I tell you what I'm thinking? I'm afraid to say it, but maybe ulai, maybe. No, like I said. No. It might be wrong. 1 second. I don't know. Can I say Chiddush? They can take away the prize. How's it work? Yossi, they can take away the prize. No, if you say something stupid, right? No, I know. Maybe if you're going to find the Hilchos Yontif, which I have to look into, if you're going to find the Hilchos Yontif, then no one in the world says that breadcrumbs are muksa, right? Maybe it's because of this exact lumdus. Everybody's what I'm saying? Maybe it's because this exact lumdus. Maybe on Yontif, you can't give it to an animal because it would then be noilad. So therefore, nobody ever gives it to an animal, and therefore it's bleibt what? People food. You go like this and like that. What do you think? I don't know. I don't remember anywhere in Hilchos Yontif. Let me just think a minute. I don't remember anywhere. It doesn't say anywhere in Hilchos Yontif. No, it doesn't say. Yeah, anybody have like one of these like computer mishaburs? I just did it in my head, but I'm not as good at them. So you want to? There's nowhere. It doesn't say it. It's right what I'm saying. What? No, so I just answered the question. Right, so I just answered the question. It's Tamakasha that I just answered. Exactly. Gewaldig. Okay, so Akoponim. So let me get weiter. Okay, so now I got the price because he doesn't say that, right? Okay, it's tough day at the office over here. Okay, let's start. Should we start this again? Everyone's ready? Good? No, it's a hard thing, this. This is, you have to be miyashiv klali, so you have to be miyashiv. Whatever. Whatever. What? What? I think we should go find. Let's go find. Now, okay, let's start. Now we got to start this year. Let's start this year. So like this. Let's start this year. So Michael Behema. Okay, now we start. Okay, as I drove through Ramat Eshkol today, I was trying to count the amount of dogs. Everyone tells me Ramat Eshkol has dogs, right? That's what I'm told, right? I saw four, but I'm not sure if it's right. I saw them by the police station, and I don't know. I didn't see any of you. What? Come out and shout. It's great, right? But okay, we'll have to see. Does Ramat Eshkol have dogs? Ramat Shlomo, there was once somebody on the block by us that had a dog, right? Mamish, all the neighbors came to, why do you come to me, right? Everybody came to me to go and talk to the person, right? To go and talk to the person. I went to talk to the person, explained to me that his daughter went through a trauma and because of that, they have like the dog is like therapeutic and whatever, whole thing. I said, yeah, but I hear, but everybody else is going through trauma. So maybe we could there's pills for these things, but can we figure out something that nobody else has to suffer? That dog didn't last very long. I think the dog got death threats. The dog didn't last very long. So Ramat Shlomo, there are no dogs, right? There's lots of cats. We have to talk about what the din of cats are. There's lots of birds and other stuff. But over here, there's mamish people that own dogs. No, there's mamish people own dogs. What else do they own? They own chicken. We're Manishko? They're Manishko. Yeah? Like real chickens. Yeah? But like pet chickens or like this whole chicken thing? Like roosters. There's like people that walk around, they walk the rooster. Here? No, it's mamish the gay. You think it's a joke. It's mamish, it's the most gay thing. Your neighbors all over there, there's a lot of chickens. I remember in the Mir neighborhood over there, mamish, you're weird if you don't have one. No? What? That's also what we got. You have also, right? Huh? Oh, we're getting it. We're getting it. No, mamish getting there. No, mamish getting there. No, it's no joke. When I lived in Harnof, this is like 80 years ago, and we had a neighbor. We had a neighbor that had a goat. No, so I used to tell people I have a neighbor that has a goat. You hear like bah, like in the Azegate, mamash, you hear like weird things, right? And neighbor that had a goat, we would take the kids over. So then, one time I took one of my daughters there to an Arab shop, but there was no zoos in those days. So I took my daughter there and wherever. And he said, you know what? Let me ask my brother if you can come over. Svardish fellow. We lived over there on Elbogen, which backed on to Kablan. He says, maybe we'll ask my brother. He lives over there on Scholzen. I said, what does he have? Thinking he's going to have maybe like a sheep or like a feisnish or something, right? So he says he has a whole array of interesting. He has rabbits. Rabbits is that's a normal thing, right? He says he has a monkey. Pet monkey. There's he has a rabbit and a monkey. It's like a pet monkey. I was like, yeah, can we go there? No, I'm saying so Duvi, what do you have? A hippopotamus? What did you say? A hippopotamus? Okay, so we have to talk about these things, and you don't know what these guys eat, right? He had a monkey. The guy had a monkey in Harnof. He's probably your neighbor. Okay, let's see. So first of all, the Prima Godim in Eichel Avram Sif Yud, he brings down what's the din of Michael. What is the din of Michael Behema? What'd you guys do to me today? We didn't start. 1 second. No, we're canceling Seder. Michael Behema, what is the status of Michael Behema? What do I mean? Stam, we go back all the way. Remember we spoke about Oichlim, that Chazal were never goes their muksa on. They were never goes their muksa. You can move it for no reason at all. What's the din of Michael Behema? So you should know the Prima Godim says, Michael Behema has a din of a klish and malachte leheter. Whoever remembers, I don't know, some of the items know, but whoever remembers, Klish and Leheter had a bunch of rules when you're allowed to move it and not allowed to move it, right? You weren't just allowed to move it, right? So, okay, it's not Sunageya because the Welt is Mekel on that halacha and considers it to be that. But I'm just trying to show you, what I want to show you is that it changed its status so much that now you appreciate a little bit more the Noilad aspect. It went from an Oichel, which there were never Geyser Muks on, to a Klish and Leheter, which has a shame books on it. Okay, if the Welt is Mekel, they're Mekel, but you get my point. That's why I'm bringing it out. That's number one. Number two is I saw in the Shmir Shabbos in the 20th parak, the Prima Godim is in Eichel Avram Sivkat in Yud. Yeah, it's going over there. The Eichel Avram is over there, yeah, and Siv Dalit, yeah, over there in that neighborhood. So that's number one. Number two is the Shmir Shabbos in the 20th parak, in the 27th ice. He says, what if you threw out, now you throw the bone, again, now, we're starting new sugya. I don't want anyone to get confused. We're in a new sugya now. We're going to go in a sugya now, assuming, which is what we're going to get to, hopefully, today. But when do you have the heter and call it animal food? So we'll assume that there's dogs everywhere and whatever, and this and that and whatever. Let's say you have a dog, something like that, okay? We're in that case. In a minute, we'll convey how much you need for it to be considered animal food. But now we're going that it is animal food. Okay. Now that it's animal food, so the Shmir Shabbos says, so let's say you take this bone and like everybody here, you throw it out, right? So now it's in your garbage. So my opinions on garbage is how much muksa is in your garbage at all. right? The plastic plates are in there, they're not muksa. The bottles in there, they're not muksa. Food that's edible for a person is not muksa until it gets mamish. So what about now? You have the bones in there. And it's very gay because sometimes you do have muksa in there. So you have on the garbage, you have bones. You have bones. So I just told you bones and klipas, the Shulchan Aruch just told you if it's a place where there's animals, it's Michael Behema. Okay, but now it's in the garbage. So does that take away the shame of the Michael Behema? So the Shmir Shabbos in the 20th parak, in 27th ice, he rightfully, the Chayra says it's not muksa. It's not muksa. He brings down over there something which I don't understand. And Kanir, he also didn't understand it because he, on the top, he doesn't paskin like this. He brings down over there that Rosh Hashanah said, nah, once it gets into the garbage, then already it's nimas. And if it's no longer Michael Behema. Anybody have a kasha?
Yeah, nowadays,
What?
nowadays when someone's in the garbage, it comes out, cats go in the garbage. And when it's at home,
No, we have to talk about those cats, Agav. We're going to get to them. We're going to get to those guys, right? Garfield, Nolcha, we're going to get to those guys. What? No, but Bichlal, Rabbi say, the animals mind that it was in your garbage? Just, you heard? What? Fakir, you mean Pum Fakir? I thought he was saying the other way. Pum Fakir, we have to get to anyways, because a cat that eats, is that called animal food? Is it called that he's, we'll see, is he a Bolshevik? Man, we're going to talk about him. Don't worry, we're going to get there. No, then we're going to get there. Because now he's for sure going to eat it, but we have to see. It could be, it's not animals like that. It's animals that you have to feed and whatever. We have to get to that. But just in conceptually, I have a dog, okay? And now it's in the garbage. So what? Now what? Now the dog is going to, no, come on. Ich bin a Mensch. Ich bin a Hund. Was bin das Beste für mich? Ich kann das nicht essen. So du etwas Zeug, was kann ich essen das? Was? How many dogs are going to say that? When the dog starts talking like that, I mean, that's a Pavlov's dog. I mean, that is, later, I don't know. It's Tamur. It's Tamur Shlomo Zalman. I was thinking, what can be pshat in Shlomo Zalman? Shlomo Zalman is such a big man. What can be even pshat? Even if I'll say pshat, I don't necessarily think that this is the halacha l'maisa. But what can be pshat in Shlomo Zalman? Anybody want to say? Someone told me. No, someone mamish told me. You think it's a joke? Someone told me that I don't know if was he joking. He told me that dogs have psychiatrists, psychologists today. That's what he told me. What? You know this? I was thinking you're shaking your head. You seem to know this. What? You're one?
No, I said, why not?
Oh, why not? No. No, he said it's a normal thing that a dog has a psychologist. They talk to the dog, but he's not a person. I don't know what it means. Huh? Could you imagine telling this to my grandfather from Borough Park in the 1970s that there was a dog that has a psychologist? He would smack me. Like, what? The world has gone mad. But anyways, I don't know, dog wankers. No, that's what's going on out there. Anyways, I was thinking a different pshat in Rosh Hashanah. I think, because you have to say pshat. He's such a big man, Rosh Hashanah. I'm not going to just say, I saw one sefer, he says, Rosh Hashanah tzarchim. It is tzarchim, so you have to answer him, right? It's so tzarchim, you have to answer him. I think what Rosh Hashanah means is like this. Rosh Hashanah means that when you throw it into the garbage, right, so then you removatel it from any shimush. That's what Rosh Hashanah means. Rosh Hashanah doesn't mean that the dog minds. What Rosh Hashanah means is that when you throw it into the garbage, now you created a mitzias that this is dirt. For dogs, even for dogs, because you're not going to do it. Until now, whether you're going to do it or not doesn't matter. But the shame of animal food is there. The fact that you might not give it, we'll see in a moment, that might not make enough kamina. Okay? But Masha'en Kain, once you throw it into the garbage, you did a maisa that you were mevatel its ganze mahus. I'm going to tell you, I don't mean like in a chutzpahdik way. I don't agree with halacha because this is something that we spoke about back then. That the fact that you put it in doesn't take away a shame if nothing actually happened to it except for your placement of the item. Okay, but at least I understand Rav Shlomo Zalman. Let's understand Rav Shlomo Zalman. Yeah, this is going Rav Shlomo Zalman l'shitasei. If you remember now, Rav Shlomo Zalman, when it came to plastic plates, so once they're in the garbage, this is moksa, and I didn't understand Rosh Hashanah there either. So it's a vada l'shitasa. So everything is good. I'm not saying in a person who wants to be machmed gezintei, but now at least you understand what the goyim holds. The goyim Rosh Hashanah held that when you take something and you show he's no longer going to be used, so then I don't care if it's usable. That's Rosh Hashanah shita, and that's a chiddush. That's a chiddush. In Hilchos Moksa, we never find that, Rabbi Yisrael. All you find is when something is broken. You find that something is broken, so then it doesn't have a shame clean. That where it makes enough kamina if it's in the garbage or not in the garbage. That's number one. Number two is is that in Erev Shabbos, let's say you threw out the bones Erev Shabbos. It's very good, right? The kids eat sometimes on Erev Shabbos. The little kids eat sometimes. Little kids, the big kids, right? The Toyamet kids and whatever. Everybody eats Erev Shabbos. And then you throw into the garbage. And then it comes Shabbos. What's in the garbage? It's a fresh garbage because you just took out the garbage, right? So now in the garbage, what do you have? You have just bones and just skin, just like that. That's it. Just bone, and let's make it easy case. There's not even a piece of chicken on it. Okay, because if there'd be a piece of chicken, you saw already, it's not muksa. So there's nothing there. So now you want to move this garbage. So she's a basis for the muksa, right? Right? That's Erev Shabbos. There's a guy Erev Shabbos. Not on Shabbos. Shabbos, maybe I just told you it doesn't become muksa. Like assuming that you have animals, right? But on Erev Shabbos, so then for sure Rishon Mizam is right. It says that, the Shmir Shabbos. The Shmir Shabbos, he says, Erev Shabbos, for sure the Goyin is right. On Erev Shabbos, Rishon Mizam is right. You took it, you threw it out Erev Shabbos. That logic, that now you threw it out. So now on Erev Shabbos, when it came in, it was hukva as when Shabbos came in, that this is not going for animals, right? I don't understand that. This is all the shitasi. This is all my old problems and whatever. My therapists aren't working, but this is all my old problems. I don't understand that. Right? Where do you find the concept in halacha of something that when you put it into the garbage, it's going to have no longer a shimush and whatever? That's when you have, let's say, a piece of pottery that broke. And a piece of pottery that broke, we have now a piece of cheres. And that means the shame of the kli that was tebrechen, it's a broken kli. Now you throw it in the garbage. You're showing me I'm not being miyayid it for a new shame kli. Listen closely, Rabbi Say. Animal food, ani mamin b'muna shalema, that dogs eat bones. That's the cheftza here. That is what it is. That's what it is. On Erev Shabbos, before you ate it, it was people food. When it turned into a bone, das is animal food. Das is food for your hippopotamus. That's what it is. It's food for the monkey. That's what it is. Nothing has to be done to it. That's its shame. That's its mahus. I don't care that you threw it out. I don't care that no one's going to use it. That's its cheftza. That's its shame. It's like throwing out a beged on Shabbos or Erev Shabbos. You throw out a shirt on Erev Shabbos. Who cares that you threw it out on Erev Shabbos? It's a shirt. It's a usable shirt. It's not muksa. I'm going against the Goyim Rishon Mizam and Batla Daiti. I'm just telling you that was the pashtus. That was the pashtus. It's tremendous nafkamina. That means you have this garbage on Erev Shabbos and the bones in there and there's nothing else. Because a lot of times in my garbage, there's going to be bottles and this and that. So anyway, she's probably got dvarim shalaterim in there. But the Maisa now, it comes Erev Shabbos, it's a very negate case. You have in there a bone and a this and a that. So now you have a bone and a shell. The shell already, I agree, we'll see that taka is totally muksa. Even the animals don't eat it and whatever. So now you have it's a kli that's holding up. It's a basis l'davar ha mutter and davar ha aser. She'll be allowed to move this garbage. The tzarich, a makim, the tzarich to use, whatever it is. This is a big sugya. These are big sugyas. Big sugyas. Sorry? Come again. Yeah, Rishon Mizam and mamish, everything is muksa. Yeah, mamish, everything. Well, you take the bottle Erev Shabbos for sure. I think Rishon Mizam held the bottle on Shabbos. Is muksa, right? Everything is. Yeah. I'm saying it's the same way. No, but there was always studim and sedate studim to be mechalik between Erev Shabbos and Shabbos. But here, I mamish don't hear it. Here, there's no shame kli that's bishlam. I could hear maybe disposable kalim. I could have heard it's aimed to be thrown out. So whatever. I don't know what. Here, the Machuz Chazal said that she is animal food. Berega, she turns into a bone. A bone is animal food. I don't hear this one at all. And therefore, it's not muksa. I didn't do anything today. I don't have to do it here. Like mamish nothing. No? What? Oh my goodness. What happened? What happened? I don't know. Who did it? What? No, you look at the clock. I don't know. Are you fidgeting with the clock? You anti-Semite. You playing with the clock over there? Who is he? Zolti, when no one's looking, right? Oh, it's 9:10. I don't know. No, I can't go fight. I don't know what to do over here. Goodness, this is terrible. No, you should know. I'm depressed. All right. So I got to go back. Just one thing. Then take a look. I don't know if you put it on the Marmakaimas now. Take a look when you get a chance. We're going to see tomorrow. A lot of these rules might be tully in the rules of which animals I'm allowed to feed. Okay? That's a sif in Shulchan Aruch. It's one sif. Take a look at it. It's in Shin Chaf Dalet. I don't know if Rabbi put it on the paper, but it should be it should be something you look at. Look at the Mishnah Berurah in Shin Chaf Dalet, Sif Yud Aleph. It's like a short sif over there, and it tells you which animals you're allowed to feed and when you're not allowed to feed. It's very negay also, because Tu B'Shvat come about. Almost up to Tu B'Shvat. Because Tu B'Shvat is coming soon, and you're allowed to feed the birds. Right? On Shabbos, you're allowed to feed the birds. It's very tali. Our sig is very tali. Again, what you're looking for now is to try to figure out, do we have animals that we are allowed to feed, or do we need to feed them, etc., in order for the food that we have to turn into animal food? Okay? Okay, I'm coming in. I'm going upstairs if anybody needs me. I'm here today. I'm sorry, guys. I know we didn't do anything today. I don't know.